Hey everybody, it's Jason Andrew Robel here from jasonrobel.com. That's Jason, W-R-O-B as in baby, E-L.com. Or in this case, B as in beans and brown rice. Yes, today we're gonna be doing a vegan superfood take on one of my favorite childhood recipes. When I was growing up, it was known as arroz y frijoles from my Puerto Rican side of the family. Today, we can just call it what it is. It's beans and rice, because ooh, it tastes so nice. Now, I've begun already by cooking this brown rice. I have 1 cup of dry brown rice. This is actually a sprouted and germinated brown rice to 1 3/4 cup of filtered water. Now, the reason I started this already is it takes a good 25 to 30 minutes for your brown rice to cook down and get that nice, fluffy, nutty consistency. So this has been going for about 15 to 20 minutes so far. While that's cooking down, we're gonna jump into the vegetables and the beans in the second half of our recipe. So to a medium saucepan on low to medium heat, we wanna add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now, one thing you wanna do whenever you're adding oil to a saucepan or a skillet is do this gentle kind of circular technique just to make sure the bottom of the pan is thoroughly coated with your oil. You know, one of the things that I do want to talk about as far as beans go, you know, they've got a bad rap. We've got some pinto beans that we're going to be adding to our recipe, and people kind of stay away from beans because, well, you know, of the flatulence factor. But if you cook beans properly, and there's a little secret I want to add, sometimes when you're cooking beans, if you add a little bit of kombu or seaweed, it can take away that flatulence factor. Just a little bean tip for you out there. So now that our oil is clearly ready to go, let's add some garlic. 1 crushed clove. Next up, we want to add 1 large diced white onion, 1 small diced green pepper, 1 celery stalk diced, and then for a little bit of spice here in the recipe, we have a half diced jalapeno with a few seeds in there, which won't hurt anybody much. So we're going to just cook this and go for about 5 minutes or so, just until the onions are slightly translucent. Okay, so what you can do once your brown rice is done and thoroughly cooked through after about 25 to 30 minutes, just turn off the heat and make sure the lid stays on so it stays warm while we prepare our veggies and our beans. Okay, so this is looking really good, y'all. Here is the secret. Like I mentioned, you want to make sure your onions are just slightly translucent. Translucent, for all you guys who don't want to run out and get Oxford's dictionary, just means they're kind of like see-through a little bit. They become a little bit lighter, a little bit less dense, and you can just tell when they have that kind of like glassy type texture. We are going to add 1 small chopped organic tomato. And for that authentic, old school rice and beans flavor, we have a half of a teaspoon of ground cumin, plus a half teaspoon of our chili powder. All right, here's where we crank it up a notch in the protein realm. We have 1 14-ounce can of organic, drained and rinsed pinto beans. So delicious. They have such a nice, soft, mild flavor. In this recipe, if you guys wanted to do kidney beans, you could do black beans, whatever you feel is appropriate. I really love the mild flavor and great texture of these pintos. Add the whole thing right to your saucepan. You gotta add a little bit of salt now. About a 1/4 teaspoon will do. A couple shakes of sea salt or Himalayan salt. And the same amount of ground black pepper, about a 1/4 teaspoon. Now, last but not least, to unify and really bring all the flavors together, we're gonna add 1/2 cup of organic vegetable broth. Oh, it looks so amazing. Oh, it's so authentic. So many amazing smells and spicy notes coming out of this saucepan right now. So what we wanna do now is cover the saucepan, and we want to simmer on low for about 10 to 15 minutes just to get that nice infusion of all the flavors with our beans, veggies, and spices. Just for this dish, I had to pick the fanciest piece of silverware in my entire kitchen. This is a hammered actual silver spoon. So yes, when people say, well, were you born with a silver spoon? Well, no, I wasn't born with a silver spoon, but I do currently live with one, and it's gonna scoop the rice. We're gonna make a bed for the beans here. So I'd add maybe a 1/2 cup or so. Take your bean and rice mixture and ladle it right over the top like so. Oh, one more thing. We have to add cilantro because any kind of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Southwestern inspired dish must have cilantro. So we've got a little bit of diced cilantro leaves here that I'm just gonna add on top of my beans, rice, and veggies. Okay, this is an awesome dish. You have the heartiness of the pinto beans, really packing that protein punch. You have the nutty softness of the brown rice, the crispness of the fresh cilantro leaves, and that chili powder and cumin just backing them up on the spice train. This is so awesome. All right, y'all, I'm going to bounce on out of here and enjoy my dinner. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Jason Robel from jasonrobel.com. That's Jason, W-R-O-B as in baby, and beans and rice, E-L.com. Thanks for tuning in again. And yeah, I'm gonna go and sit out on the front porch, take a break, and get my sweat on. So you can see, guys, how easy it is to make protein-rich, super amazing detoxifying foods here that are gluten-free, plant-based, and vegan, and also have those authentic spices and flavors. Again, this is just really taking me back to childhood, so I think I actually need to call up my mom and share this recipe with her and get her back to making those old school type foods at home. Luckily enough, my mom and most of my family is vegan now back in Detroit. That's pretty amazing. So I actually can call them up and share recipes, which is pretty freaking amazing.